Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. What's going on, man?
Feeling good. How are you?
Thanks for asking. I'm doing well also. Tons of energy. I feel like I need a title, right?
You feel like what?
We call you the Powerful Man Matthews, which started off as a joke.
Got you.
But you loved
Title.
it, so I've kept doing it for like a year, maybe 2 years at this point.
You've got Dougie Fresh.
Yeah, Dougie Fresh. I like some of the other ones. The guys in the Inner Circle call me the Wizard. I like that.
The Wizard.
Yeah, a couple of the guys call me the Wizard. I need advice from the Wizard.
Oh, wow. I didn't know they called you the Wizard. Wow. What a compliment.
It is quite a compliment, and I like it. And it's one that's was genuine. So it's fun. Then I start looking at my gray beard going, wait a minute, is that why? No. So Tim, we just started asking the guys. We changed. If you guys, you listen to this for a while, you'll notice a little bit of a change in the format. We're going to try to do this more often because we've gotten a great response from it. But we literally get hundreds of messages a day. And guys, we try our absolute best to get back to you. I'll tell you, I, for one, am very rarely on Facebook. It's difficult for me to see this huge list of questions that are coming in. So please don't send them there. Please understand, if you do, I'm doing everything I can to get back to you guys. But Tim, this one caught my eye that I got, and I wanted to address that and bring it up here. It says, I've heard a lot of great things about your programs. In fact, I know one guy that had amazing success. However, I don't want to be an alpha male. So I thought that was an interesting statement, right? It goes on, and he's talking about his situation, which will reveal a little bit closer to who this guy is. And I want him to have some anonymity, because you and I talked about that being important for the questions. But I think this is a something that's misconstrued when we talk about being an alpha male, what we mean versus kind of pop culture means about the alpha male. So I think the first thing to cover here for this guy, and I'm going to call this guy George, right? That's not his name. So for George, what you want to think about, first of all, is what's your definition of an alpha male? And a lot of us think the alpha male, and that's why I believe he doesn't want to become, is this guy who's muscled out, the gym guy, the bro, who beats his chest, wears a leather jacket, is driving a Harley, smoking cigarettes, drinking whiskey like crazy. He's the jerk, right? He's the asshole. And a lot of people think that's the alpha. He's beating guys up. He's pushing people, his wife around, his kids around. That's the exact opposite of what we define as an alpha, right? When we talk about an alpha, we're talking about the alpha man, the alpha wolf, right? As well, which is our main avatar here. And we're looking at an alpha as somebody who's taken control of himself. It's not somebody who takes control of themselves, somebody who loves themselves and is a good place, doesn't have to be a jerk, right? In fact, it's just the opposite. They tend to be a fun, loving guy, right? They tend to really enjoy life at a much higher level than they have in a long time. So Tim, let's break this down a little bit for this guy, because I do believe this is a common thing that comes up is people hear us talk about alpha men. And I know in the dating world and all that stuff, it's thought of as a different connotation. But let's talk about what we mean at The Powerful Man as a movement of what it means to be an alpha male.
Yeah, let's do that. I was looking at my cover photos, and I think Facebook must have changed. It shows you how little I'm on it as well. I did have a cover photo on there where we define alpha. But essentially, for us, we talk about this a lot with the men in the community. Being alpha means having a quiet confidence. It means having a quiet self-assurance. You know what to do, and you do it. And you know what to do to lead your pack. And you're okay with that. You can take the responsibility.
Yeah.
You take the action without needing the validation of your wife or of other people. I kind of butchered our definition of it to a degree there. But that's essentially it. The word that stands out to me is quiet. You have a quiet confidence. You have a quiet self-assurance. You have nothing to prove in that place. Hence, not needing the validation. You're not doing things for your wife and then saying, hey, look what I did for you. You're not making a big deal about it. because you're taking responsibility for yourself and you're making sure that your cup is full. You're living from the inside out. We spoke about that on previous podcasts, with self at the bottom, health, relationships, wealth, business. And from that place, you're full. And it's very easy for you to have that quiet confidence and quiet self-assurance when you're coming from a place of fullness. By default, you have nothing to prove. Conversely, when guys are insecure and they're coming from a place of quote unquote alpha, thumping the chest or the loudest guy in the room, or whatever it is, usually underneath that, there's insecurity. And they try to fill that void with money or cars or women or houses or whatever it is. But nothing ever lands, right? Whereas the alpha, and again, we take a lot of inspiration from the wolf. I mean, you probably don't know, I'm guessing you don't know much about the logo, but the whole logo that we have at the Powerful Man symbolizes what it means to be an alpha. You've got the wolf there with that focus in his eyes, that blue focus, which is piercing focus. He's very clear and decisive. And then he's got the blood dripping from his teeth where he's holding the rose. Like he's taken action. He's done what it takes, but he's also carrying a rose in his mouth, which symbolizes that gift to the feminine, that femininity, that balanced side of him. He can be soft and fierce at the same time. If you look at a wolf in nature, the alpha wolf anyway, he's often walking at the back of the pack, middle to the back of the pack, sweeping up behind, making sure everyone's okay. He's often adoring the alpha female. He really adores her and treats her like his queen. He watches over and lets other people in the pack take center stage because he's okay with just sitting back. And he'll play with the rest of the cubs and the rest of the pack. Cubs might not be the right word. He'll play with the rest of the pack, the young ones. When they get a little bit boisterous, he might put them in place by exerting a little bit of force, a little bit of power. But he'll let them have their fun and have their way because he's secure in who he is, right? And this is what it means to be alpha. It's got nothing to do with walking into your relationship and being a dictator to your wife. Nothing to do with that. It's nothing to do with becoming the loudest guy in the room and you've got to show your masculinity through physical prowess. I mean, that's part of what it could be, but that's not what it is, right? You don't have to, start working out to have these huge biceps and look a certain way. It's not about that. For us, we're very big on you being able to find what alpha means for you and find your groove in it within the container that we operate. The container of the wolf, the container of our definition of it, because quite honestly, it's been proven to work for thousands of men. And you still get to find your own way, because for some guys, it might mean big biceps, as long as it doesn't come from a place of insecurity. Two paths: path of power, path of force. Force is insecurity, power is security. Power is certainty, force is uncertainty. Two very different paths to walk, two very different journeys to experience, one destination that you're going to end up.
It's so true. And again, the number one, thing people get wrong about the alpha male is it's the energy that you bring, right? The energy shows up in the room before you do. A leader, right? People know who the leader is. Any room, any situation, you just know who the leader is. And it doesn't take you long to figure it out. That's the alpha, right? That's the alpha male. And sometimes the leader is the quietest person in the room, right? It could, I know people who are very much what I would call alpha, but you would also think of them as very spiritual people and people who are very quiet. Few words are used. They do yoga instead of lifting weights. There's all kinds of things. Again, I'm going against the classic stereotype that people think about, because alpha has nothing to do with the way you look, right? It does have to do with the way you take care of yourself. It has nothing to do with being a jerk, but it has everything to do with the way you treat others, right? It's really about, as you said, Tim, that energy, that quiet inner confidence. And for some people, they're louder, right? Some people are just naturally just louder people. And that's fine too. But that's not what alpha is. You know, it can be included in there for me. For the alpha male is the guy who does, to me, my definition, does take care of the people around him, but also takes care of himself first, right? You put the oxygen mask on yourself first so you can save others. And I think a lot of men initially can get really surprised that at the powerful man, a lot of what we focus on, right? We just don't focus on your relationship, right? But we do focus on all 5 territories and more, really. But we focus on you first, right? You got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And the guy who knows how to do it and doesn't feel or gets over feeling the guilt, the shame of taking care of himself so that he can take care of others, right? That's the alpha. Because that's harder. It's hard to take care of yourself so that you can take care of others, right? The idea, the victimhood, the shame, the guilt, right? It's easier to wallow in that than it is to walk through that valley of darkness and get to the other side. But the view is so sweet, guys. The view is so sweet. And that's what the alpha does. The alpha makes that journey. The alpha rises to the top of the mountain so he can look down over his tribe to make sure they're safe. So he can look through the horizon and tell them where to go. He's the one that they look as the leader. And that's what your wife and your kids really want, right? They want the leader. They want the best version of you, the alpha version of you, which is the best version of you. So yeah, I think the number one thing, and this gentleman who, you know, I've seen posts, that the number one thing people get wrong about the alpha male is they have this vision of the meathead beating his chest, Harley biker guy, getting in fights. And that's just not the case. That is just not the case. And think about every situation that you've been in where you've seen somebody you admire as a leader, someone you look up to. They're not going to be that guy, that definition, but they are the alpha.
Nothing to hide, nothing to prove.
No. Purely you. It's a beautiful place to be, guys. Beautiful place to be. So, Tim, what's one thing you want to leave this guy with?
If you're feeling nervous about the idea of being the alpha male, quote unquote, then maybe that's exactly what you need to do. Maybe you're feeling nervous because you're aware, if you've got a sense of the journey you've been called to take. And I'd invite you to consider the journey might not be what you think.
Yeah. I'm going to leave him with one more because he left me the message, and I hope I'll include this podcast. It's lean into why you're scared of being an alpha. Why are you making this an excuse? Right? And maybe you're not. Maybe you're just trying to get clarity. Obviously, from your message, you know someone who's been through our program that's had great success. That's awesome. I can guarantee you that guy who's been through our program is not the pound yourself the chest. He's not a jerk. Guaranteed. We don't have jerks that even come into our program. They're not attracted to this kind of a program. Right? Because, you know, the jerks go to there's another men's coaching program that's out there that I've done. And there are a lot of jerks in there. And it's just, you know, try not to say anything directly against something, but the guys that come through our program, and since this guy knows people, they're great guys. They're business leaders. They're doing it because they want to save their marriage. They want to save their business. They want to save themselves. They want to save their families. They want to be better fathers. Jerks don't do that. Right? Jerks don't. So I invite you to step into that and look at, what is this? Is this an excuse? Is this a fear? Right? And embrace it. Just embrace it.
Well said.
All right, guys, that's a wrap for us here at the Powerful Man Show. Love the questions that are coming in. Love for you guys to leave those in the Facebook group if you can. It's just a much easier way for us to culminate these so we can get them to you. Again, Tim and I, neither of us check Facebook messages very often, or LinkedIn. I get a ton on LinkedIn, Tim, coming through, but I love to do it, and we want to serve you guys to the highest level possible. So it just helps us. That's a better place to get your questions answered and get some free coaching from Tim and I coming through there. And guys, I'd love you to leave an authentic, honest review on wherever you find this. If you haven't already, it's going to take you 5 minutes. It'd be a personal favor to myself and to Tim. It really is how other men like you find this show. And we can keep delivering more value as we go through. Guys, make it a great week. As always, take action. We'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.